Minasan konnichiwa, this is Matt Okuhara from the Matsumoto Castle Gun Corps, and today we're going to be talking about Akamatsu Kosaburo. A samurai of the ancient Ueda domain. Akamatsu Kosaburo's ideas shaped Japanese political and military policies once the feudal era had come to an end. He came from a large and powerful samurai family, and they themselves were retainers of the Matsudaira clan. Akamatsu Kosaburo was born on the 15th of May 1831. This is towards the end of the Edo period. He was the youngest son of the samurai Kanbei Ashida. His father and mother, Shiga, wanted him to become an expert in the way of the sword. His older brother, Jutaro, who was 5 years older than him, had already proven himself to be quite capable in the way of war. However, Seijiro, as he was known when he was younger, was absorbed in his favourite subject, the abacus, without paying attention to the children playing happily outside. He was more interested in studying, and his parents were worried that perhaps he was going to become a merchant. They wanted him to become a respectable samurai. At that time, samurai was still the top of the social caste, and merchants were at the bottom. In 1853, Commodore Perry of the US Navy arrived in Japan for his first visit. However, he soon departed, and it wasn't until his second visit in 1854 that Japan was more open to trade and foreign influence. Being only 23 years old, the young samurai was intrigued with foreign culture and wanted to find out more about what the arrival of the black ships meant. He had been living in Edo since the age of 18 and had been studying. His interests lay with arithmetic, surveying, astronomy, geography, and Dutch. All of his instructors regarded him as highly intelligent, and one of them in particular, Shimosone Kinzaburo, introduced him to Hojutsu, the way of the gun, as well as foreign gunnery techniques. He travelled to Nagasaki. This port was open to foreign trade and influence, and he used his contacts in order to learn more about modern warfare. Returning to Edo, he became an apprentice of a samurai called Kaishu Katsu, who was committed to rebuilding Japan's navy along the lines of the American Navy. This was a controversial move. While it's true there were people in society, including samurai, who wanted to modernize Japanese culture, there were others that said expel the barbarian and revere the emperor and wanted nothing to do with foreign influence. In order to further his learning in influence, at the age of 24 he was adopted into the Akamatsu family, and soon after he became married to Shozan Sakuma. She was the daughter of a samurai that was related to the Akamatsu family. He then went on to change his given name, and thereafter at the age of 33 he was known as Akamatsu Kosaburo. Knowledge of his intelligence and influence made its way back to Ueda, where he was born. Well aware of the political situation, the daimyo of Ueda sent him to Yokohama in order to learn English. Under the tutorship of British diplomats, he not only learned English, but he also learned English literature, British military law, parliamentary politics, and geography. His language proficiency allowed him to start translating British infantry training manuals. Sharing his success with his former tutor, Shimosone Kinzaburo, he went on to publish the book, and it was known as British Infantry Training Methods. His translation not only covered strategic and tactical matters, it also incorporated aspects of military discipline and military law. He firmly believed in these tactics and strategies, and he also believed that societal change within Japan was imminent. He therefore went to Kyoto and opened his own school where he could teach people in the modern way of warfare. All of his students were from samurai families, and they were keen to learn this new way of war from his school, which was called the British Infantry Federation. His morning classes focused on British infantry training, and his afternoon classes were about parliamentary politics. Japanese politics at that time was in a state of turmoil. Debating and discussing with his students, he came up with 7 ideas that he thought would bring Japanese politics into the modern era. These ideas were the establishment of a Tokyo Metropolitan Bureau of Commerce, the establishment of state education and university education, the establishment of equality for all people and not a hierarchical system, the establishment of banking, the establishment of professional land and naval forces, a program of gentrification and modernization for towns and cities, and finally the establishment of a more diverse agricultural system that didn't rely solely on rice and fish. Eventually, the shogunate approached him for help in policy decisions and policy making. Other samurai clans were also keen to consult with him. His own clan, the Ueda clan, eventually decided to recall him from Kyoto, before being able to return to what is now modern-day Nagano. He was assassinated at the age of 37. However, his ideas had made their way both into the emperor's government and the shogunate's government. His assassination made no difference to how Japan was changing. Japan had changed forever, and the era in which the samurai were at the centre of politics was over, and the Meiji era had begun. During the Meiji government's third term, the Japanese government adopted all of Akamatsu Kosaburo's 7 policies for a prosperous Japan. These policies proved to be a massive turning point for Japanese culture, and he was posthumously made a cousin of the emperor. Beginning his life as the youngest son of a samurai in Ueda, Kosaburo Akamatsu was one of the most influential people during the Meiji Restoration. Located near to Ueda Castle, the Ueda City Museum has many of Akamatsu Kosaburo's translations and documents. The exhibits really do highlight the amount of change that was happening so quickly in Japan. Along with traditional samurai exhibits such as armour and swords, the museum also documents the establishment of the first professional corps of infantry in the country. Previously relying on militia known as ashigaru, the government created a policy where the soldiers were professionally trained and well equipped. Those samurai who had been taught by Kosaburo Akamatsu in Kyoto were well placed to form the first officer corps for the Japanese Imperial Army. They were also well placed to conduct diplomacy and business with English-speaking countries, such as Great Britain and the United States of America. Although Ueda Castle is usually associated with the Sanada clan, much has already been discussed about the bravery of the clan during the siege of Ueda Castle. And their clan emblem, the Rokomon Sen, or those 6 coins, has been discussed in detail and indeed is possibly one of the most famous emblems in Japan. Instead, in this video, I wanted to discuss Ueda, or more specifically, a samurai from Ueda who was pivotal in changing Japanese history. I hope that you have enjoyed this upload. The Matsumoto Castle Gun Corps will be in action again this year, so we'll be doing some more videos about our training and gunnery demonstrations, and after that we will be returning to some more historical videos. Please remember to like and subscribe, and if you've got any comments that you want to add to the video, then please do add them. I try to respond to as many comments as I can.